Hey, Silk. Aha! Indeed. Just doing some housekeeping. How goes it? It goes well. I've been expecting you. So, we are going to be heading from Flagstaff to somewhere in Colorado. So there's 2 events that they've gone live with, in addition to the DLC. One involves visiting every single city. One simply involves doing a route of at least 500 miles. Given the distances involved, I feel that won't be difficult. If I can get any loads that actually go there. How far is it to Denver? 687. There we go. Don't feel like an articulated one. Or Sterling. Potatoes. You know, maybe there's merit in going the full distance and then working our way back. Yeah, why not? Be pretty lurky, being absent-mindedly Diablo 3ing, fair enough. That is a good game for just absent-mindedly blasting demons. And doing other things. I haven't played that in ages. I used to dip in on each of the seasons when they did them.
Let's go.
But I haven't done so in quite some time. Too many other things to play. Now I seem to remember that this Western Star truck was okay, but not the greatest. But I guess it's fair to give it benefit of the doubt for now. And we'll take it with us.
Finally, we are here.
It's not the greatest turning circle, but... So the first event slash... It's kind of an achievement, it's not a Steam achievement, but... First thing we'll be doing is this long delivery. And that is to commemorate 18 years since one of their former titles, 18 Wheels of Steel. So they've made a fancy paint job available for people who wish to take part in it.
Get ready to turn
and
right.
Just make a simple delivery.
Turn right.
And they've given you like 3 months to actually get it as well, so there's no hurry, but hey, we're going there anyway.
Get ready to turn left.
It's especially special because back in that game you started in Colorado, in Denver, so it's a good timing. Do you take any interest in seasons or multiplayer aspect? Fun to see numbers go up, yeah. The only reason I took interest in the seasons is, so it's nothing to do with the multiplayer or anything, but it's just the seasonal heroes gave you a fresh start each time. It kind of kept things fresh, and it gave you some transmogs to earn. So otherwise there wasn't really much reason to go back in and just play the same character that I've played so many times before. And depending on the appearances of some of the transmogs, it might guide the class that I decided to play, which might have been different to ones that I've played previously. I think it's a good idea overall. And cruise control. Honestly, I think what they should have done really is, instead of their Diablo 4 announcement, just had another expansion onto Diablo 3, because it looks like exactly the same game anyway. Just seems redundant, really. it's been a long time since I've played. Regardless, so it doesn't really bother me much. Literally the only reason that I have Diablo 3 is I got it for free. I think I might have mentioned it before, that they did a promo that if you were signed up to a full year WoW subscription, I think it was, or it might have just been one of their 6-month ones, they gave you Diablo 3 thrown in with a bunch of cosmetics and stuff themed around Diablo 3, like a little Diablo pet. So I definitely got my money's worth out of the game. I did purchase the first expansion, which was definitely worth it, I think.
At the roundabout, take the second exit. Exit now.
Straight through. Bought it because you'd played it ages ago in console and remembered witch doctors could throw spiders. That they can. Your favourite attack in any game. Yeah, it's like the little bugs that you were hiffing at things in Hollow Knight. My main class was a wizard because I like blasting things to smithereens with lightning and calling down blizzards and meteors.
Turn right.
But as is my wont, I ended up creating pretty much one of every single class just to see how they played and play around with the different builds. Barbarians were fun too. And the demon hunters with the crossbows. Monk is also really good, yeah. Some of the things that you can do with those in their later builds makes them just unstoppable. It gets really ridiculous. Especially since that they have such a quick attack speed, so anything on hit is really useful. So if you get some things that are a certain amount of life on hit, you can just keep yourself alive indefinitely. Which is kind of the same thing that I did with my wizard, with like chain lightning and things like that. So I would just zap between lots of enemies and each one counts as a hit. Chug, 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 chug. 43,000 pounds of potatoes makes going up these hills a little bit slow. I forget what the hardest torment difficulty I managed to get up to was on my primary class, but after a while it did just start feeling a bit sameish. I don't get the same sort of joy as some people do out of just making the numbers go bigger, because then all you do is bump it up to the next torment level and make yourself feel challenged again, and so on and so forth. It's very cyclical. But it was at least something to kill some time with. And I did enjoy the campaign playthrough, the storyline of the actual game itself, before you get to the end game grind. It's just one guy, thank you for my potatoes. Yeah, it's Jacksepticeye at the other end. It would be more thematic if I was delivering potatoes from Idaho as opposed to from Arizona. I don't know how much potato plantations there are around Flagstaff, but I feel it's not many. It seems a little bit odd. But hey, maybe it's just their distribution network. Even better to imagine that it's just one giant potato. See, I know Walbert is meant to be reminiscent of Walmart, but it just makes me think of Dilbert instead. My driver needs to be wearing a tyre that flips up at the end for no good reason.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Haven't seen a Dilbert comic in
Turn
ages.
left.
No, neither. I used to just catch up every now and then, but I've not even thought about it recently. I think that observation there is probably the first I've actually given any thought to it whatsoever in years. Certainly months. Used to enjoy them a lot. I think if nothing else, the part of the problem now is that they're all a bit too real to life for me. Used to be a kind of, haha, yeah, I can see that happening, that's amusing. Now it's like, haha, that's me. Ooh, is this one of the new viewpoints up here? I think it might be. And this would be Monument Valley, I believe. Part of what they've done recently is they've added in a bunch of new viewpoints, such as they did in the Idaho DLC. Yes, new viewpoint. This is exactly what I wanted them to do. This is perfect. Now, how do I get in there safely? Let's just cut in here. Stop the engine, activate viewpoint. The Monument Valley. Which of course you can't really see very well from the road. There's a drive that goes across native land, I believe, to actually get closer to where you get the stereotypical view. But it's pretty spectacular scenery regardless. Definitely on my list of places I'd like to go. What this also means is there's a new speedrun idea to visit all of the viewpoints in each new state that has them, such as I put for the Idaho one. So watch this space. Once I've mapped out where they are and a route between them, then that's something that I'll be doing. Let's just discover this little bit over here as well.
Go straight.
And we are back on the road again. Wish I could zoom out a bit more on this view, instead of having it so centered around the truck. It'd be nice if it was centered instead at a point just above where the truck is. Or maybe the front of the top of the trailer instead of the truck cab itself. It's one of the funnest things to do in The Crew 2 is to take a stunt plane and fly around Monument Valley. Let's take these corners a bit more seriously. I suppose I could also just not speed as much, but where's the fun in that? Weird that they have the speed going back up to 65 just before the corners. The series of corners where you're advised to only go 50. They should have the 65 sign like here instead. Get the same sort of thing happening over here. It'll be like a 50 or a 70 kilometer an hour zone, and then it'll go back up to 100 k's an hour right before like a series of S-bends or something. And why did you bother? Don't give people an excuse to speed. Can't believe I've not gone down the 191 before. The other thing that I just thought of is I never actually reloaded the game to make sure that I was continuing on from my last casual play save and not one of my speedrun ones, but the fact that it's the Western Star truck makes me fairly certain that it was my last casual waypoint. Because it's definitely no good for speedruns. Oops.
Keep right.
A few trees are looking rather out of place in this area. Also, we'll see how far we actually go with the stream. Ideally I want to finish at least this delivery. That should be easy enough to do. But one, I'm quite tired, and two, my shoulder is really sore at the moment. So we'll see how long I last. Turn cruise control off as we speed down the hill. Any specific reason for the soreness? Your guess is as good as mine. Slept funny. Looked the wrong way. Just tense, pinching nerves, who knows. It's a recurring thing that I have issues with. It's kind of like a pinched nerve under the shoulder blade. Makes it hard to move my neck in certain ways. It's been a fairly full-on week at work, and that always exacerbates things. I just kind of find myself tensing up too much physically, and then that just causes things to cramp up and inflame.
Go straight.
I thought I was going to get through before he turned. Never mind. Fairly sure my delivery doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna need gas though. It looks like there's a service stop. I mean, there was a gas station right back there, that would have been prudent, but there's some other icons just coming up. Also doesn't help in terms of shoulders and stuff that being back in the office means I have to have a backpack and carry my laptop bag in, and then take that onto the train, and then sit on a seat on the train that is far from comfortable. They did not have ergonomics in mind when they put the design together for our relatively new commuter trains. They upgraded the fleet to be fully electric, and they're all nice and shiny new carriages, but the seats are anything but comfortable. Fine for like 15 minutes or something, but yeah. Not so much for closer to an hour. This will be another viewpoint, I guess, up here. Then there's a gas station on the other side of Moab. Yes, discovered a new viewpoint. Nice. I assume there's probably an achievement to collect all of them.
Okay, let's find a new route.
I may as well actually rest while I'm here as well. Or I can just go into Moab and go to my actual hotel, I guess. A few train rides you've taken, your back has definitely paid for it. Yeah. And the thing I find is like, I can't really sit on the front or backwards facing seats because the leg room is not sufficient. And I've got nowhere to put my backpack or anything. So I sit on the sideways facing ones right next to the doors. But that means that as the train accelerates and decelerates, it's kind of causing me to be twisted. And the seats don't go high enough in the back, so you can't rest your head. Now, one thing I would say is that the press escape to skip cutscenes is all well and good, but it only needs to be there at the very first slide. For the rest of it, they could get rid of that so you can just enjoy the viewpoint without interruption. It does not need that overlay. It's just a little bit on the intrusive side. Just gonna park backwards in these, since I'm here and everything. And now we'll stop in town at the services, I think. I should really make a concerted effort to not take damage. At least we actually pretty much slept through the night. Yeah, it's 5 AM now.
Recomputing. Rerouting.
Service. Cha-ching. My co-insurance keeps going up because I keep taking damage. So I do have the 6x4. I guess that's fine. Basically I'm just seeing if they've added anything onto this truck now since it's no longer brand new. Now why do I have this one instead of the one with the retarder, which is generally better for hills? Could also try out, there's the 13 speed. It's not quite as good it seems. The 7 speeds are useless for cargo. So we don't really need the variability. It'll be better for heavy loads. That'll do. Let's get moving.
Drive safe. Please make a U-turn when possible. Find a new route.
At least you said please, I guess.
Make a U-turn now. Turn right.
Now, gas station on the way out of town. Normally I'd go around buying every garage in the towns that I go through if this was Euro Truck Simulator, but I don't quite have the income nearly as steady in this game yet. We're still in the early game.
Never mind. Finding new route.
Well, mid-game I guess you could say.
Rerouting. Recomputing. Okay, let's find a new route.
Go into the gas station here. Make sure I don't crash into the sign would be useful. Fill her up. And away we go again. What am I getting caught on? Oh, I was hitting the sign with my trailer. Never mind. I could do a U-turn, but I may as well just go up to the intersection like it's telling me to. But I don't know quite exactly what it's wanting me to do here. It is wanting me to turn left here. Strange. Yeah, I'll do what I'm told for once.
Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Turn right.
Round the block. Because I did services, it's now blanked out my cruise control, so I need to reset that. That's fine, we'll just chill as we leave the town.
Go straight.
And back up to 60. Which we seem to be mostly capable of doing. Anything more than this would just be a waste of gas, though, I think. Let's hope we don't get traffic coming the other way until we get onto the motorway.
Right. Turn right.
Have to look at see what other speedrun race routes are now possible, or wait until they add the next state in. Otherwise, there'll be a new longest distance, I imagine. Though actually, even from top right Colorado down to San Diego, something, I don't think that would rival Roswell to Seattle. No, speed limit along here is 80 apparently. I'm not confident in this truck's ability to maintain that. No, we're not actually in 18th gear, come to think of it. Oh, we're limited to 66 anyway. Roswell has aliens, bog. Yep. That was actually one of my reasons for choosing that as the origin point, because my headcanon for the speedrun between Roswell and Seattle is that you're racing to the Space Needle, which is your UFO to escape. Seemed like a fun idea. Because neither point is the furthest point to point. There is a place further southeast than Roswell, and a place further northwest of Seattle. But it just seemed to make more sense doing it like that. It seemed more thematic than just two random towns that no one's ever heard of. I don't think anyone else has done a run of it, to be honest. And that's the thing, is every now and then people will pop into either of the speedrun discords for the truck sim games and make suggestions. Say, oh, I could do this, be a new longest run, and no one then ever actually does a run to back up their desire for it.
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
I've basically said repeatedly there and on the speedrun forums as well, just saying that if you have ideas for a run, then great. Please detail why you think it specifically is special, rather than just this city to that city arbitrarily, and we can consider it. But it won't be added until someone actually does a run as a sample, because we don't want just empty leaderboards. I mean, if it's interesting enough, I'll do a run of it, and that'll be fine. I don't want to be the only one doing the hard work. Has circuitous route ever been done? Not as such, no. There is a category in Euro Truck Simulator, which is all capital cities. So you choose your routing to go between the various capital cities for that. But it's still not a circuit per se.
Get ready to turn left.
Again, you've kind of got to justify why. So we're getting to the point in American Truck Simulator now, at least, that you could do state capitals as a circuit. It's a long run. It's actually only a couple of hours. Not even that, I think, actually. You can cheese it because it's just a real-time run.
Turn right.
I don't think there's an IGT version, so you can cheese it by using the service warping functionality to jump to the service station within cities. And I think there's some other thing around that. I can't remember if you were able to garage warp or headquarters warp. Like if you do it with a new account or something, new profile, or if you have your headquarters in a specific city, that you could fast travel back to that city. It's not something we usually like to include in runs, but it's a case of if it's already been done that way, then I have no power to relegate it now. In-game would be good for this, yeah. I mean, the other one is like the Idaho Viewpoints one. So again, it's not a circuit per se, because you don't go back to your starting point, but you have to hit all 13, I think, of the viewpoints. And I'll be doing more viewpoint runs for the new states that now have them. Okay, it bothers me that it discovers the city as I drive through it like this on the freeway. I was hoping it wouldn't do that until I got off and actually drove through the city. Because now I can't tell whether or not I've done a delivery here or not. I'll just have to remember that I haven't. Because the introductory event for Colorado as the DLC has you delivering to or from each and every city in the state. So now I've got to remember that I haven't been to that one yet. But that's fine. And yeah, generally I kind of prefer the in-game time runs rather than doing it real time. For one, they're a little bit more forgiving because the time dilation, especially in the cities, means that it's not down to seconds when you get into the destination service pad, for example. And you don't have the service warping cheese strategy. But that in itself is kind of amusing and kind of fun to use, and it makes for some rather absurd routings, so I kind of appreciate it in that regard as well, which is why I've done runs in both. Pretty much every time that I've done one of the city-to-city runs, I'll have done it both ways. And I mean, it's an in-game mechanic. It is a bit more complicated in the if you're doing it as a new profile instead of kind of new game plus, which again is another example where you had some people say that, oh, but I don't have all of the, like, a ton of money and stuff. You know, I don't have an account with hundreds of hours and don't have the right levels for the best trucks. Could we do like a new profile version instead where you don't have to start with it? It's like, okay, yeah, sure, can put that in. And I think I'm still the only person who has done a kind of sample run of one of those. Basically it comes down to, you kind of have to reset, but the reset process of creating a new profile is really arduous, so that I imagine puts a lot of people off. You basically have to reset until you get a really good truck as your first delivery truck. And then you just leave the first delivery behind and start running and race with it. But I believe because I kind of tried it, if you try and use the warp strat, like the service warping, it will always want to warp you back to the city you started at, not the closest city. So that means that you can't abuse it quite the same. But I believe that's just because that's where you leave your trailer, so then it actually becomes a bit of a maths situation where, is it worthwhile to actually drive with the trailer? It means you accelerate a lot more slowly and your top speed is kind of hampered. But if you take the trailer with you, if you can then still do the service warping, then that will save you probably more time than you will spend with your accelerations. So it becomes a bit of a compromise situation. So I haven't actually tried that. That is one thing I do need to mess around with a bit just for fun. But I've got lots of other things that I want to do rather than messing around with those just for the fun of it. So I have a whole new state to explore, for example. though I will likely save doing so for on stream. Whereas the speedrun stuff I usually do offline. Is it a state of anxiety? How did you know? Truly we are of the same mind. Now this is a nice canyon. People have often complained that they don't have the same sort of elevations in the game as is in real life. Now this is a proper canyon though. Yes, the road elevation is likely milder, but that comes down to the scaling. You cannot go up as nearly as steep a vertical distance when you're at a 1 to 20 scale. No truck could scale that. But this is really pretty through here. Hanging Lake. I'm guessing, there's a viewpoint there. I should have taken that car park exit. That's fine. I'll try to remember that another time. Yeah, discovered a new viewpoint. That's fine. We'll go visit that some other time. That's going to be interesting when it comes to doing a speedrun of all the viewpoints, because I can't see how you're supposed to get back out onto the road and continue going the same direction. It almost acts like a U-turn. So, a bit of a logistical problem. You just hit us with a sign. You saw the sign, and did it open up your eyes? Back to scenic mode. I am quite impressed by the water effects that they have, given that it's not in any way a central thing to the game. Like, you could easily forgive them for skimping on the water appearance and effects, because it's not something you spend much time near. But they've made the rivers and lakes look really nice. Whole game is pretty damn pretty. It is. Could it be better? Absolutely. Would it absolutely cripple my computer if it was? Also correct. That's what texture mods are for, if people really want to up the ante. I think the default is really good. I mean, it's got resolution scaling built in. I have it set to 150%, so that helps a little bit, I imagine. I still need to try it in VR again, but I've had issues with my VR headset and my computer. The screen just keeps going black. I think I just need to completely uninstall all of the drivers and stuff for the headset and reinstall all of them from scratch, because I'm fairly sure that there is a bit of an incompatibility somewhere that's meant to have been fixed by a later version, but it just hasn't worked, hasn't taken. There's a nice mill over there. Because this game in VR is really pretty. And then you can like literally just look out the windows, which is great when it comes to like doing the reversing and stuff. Checking your mirrors is kind of annoying, to be fair, because you do have to look directly at the mirrors, like on the opposite side, because of the limited focus point, at least in my headset. You know, you can't use your peripheral vision. It's kind of like you're wearing goggles, but it's still really pretty. ATS VR is not a nightmare. Exactly. If I had nearly the same amount of energy as Up Is Not Jump, then I could do a derivative review. And I mean, all of the controls for the game fit on my Xbox Xbox controller pretty much. There are a couple of things that I still use the keyboard for. This is a bit of a steep climb through here. I should probably go into the slow lane for this. But like I've got the indicators on the D-pad, I use the top left stick for steering, I use the bottom right stick for looking around, and then for centering my view again. And then I've got my cruise control. I can't increment or decrement the cruise control. I don't have the controls set up for that. So I use page up and page down for that on my keyboard, but those are easy ones to find even with something strapped to your face.
Recomputing.
So from here, so do I drive up and around? Is that how I get over to the other side? It's not on the map, but I'm not being stopped by an invisible wall. And does that allow me to get around to where the viewpoint is?
Finding new route.
Blinker, responsible driver? Only sometimes. To be fair, I was demonstrating, so...
Okay, let's find a new route.
So here's the viewpoint over here. So presumably I have to do the same thing in reverse to get out again? Or just, you know, do a U-turn. The Eisenhower Tunnel. Never heard of it? I'll probably Google it later and learn something. That was the other thing. Rather than having the little press escape to skip cutscene down there the whole time, I really would have loved it if they put a little subtitle-esque blurb that just gave you a few little facts about what you were seeing. You know, why is this important? You know, the Eisenhower Tunnel and the Johnson Tunnel, looks like, as well, were opened in such and such and represented this progress, and that's why they're important. Oh, the Eisenhower Tunnel sounds like a truly awful sex move. Maybe. He was a fairly successful president, as I understand it, so isn't he one of the wartime ones? So, might be a particularly violent one, but hey, some people are into that. So rather than go round and round again, I'm just going to do an illegal, presumably illegal U-turn. There's not much traffic at the moment. And now we get to go through the tunnel. So by the dates, it looked like the Eisenhower Tunnel was done first in 73 and then the Johnson Tunnel in 79. I assume it replaced an over-the-hill route that was a lot more volatile with weather conditions. And out the other side. Oh, achievement progress. Cruising high below, 1 out of 2. I have no idea what that is. Do I have to go through the other way as well, and is that the other half of the achievement? A sign telling me that I should check my brakes. Okay. I'm guessing it's steep again. It's interesting because I honestly feel that the high mountains through here have been dealt with better in many ways than they did the Scandinavian areas in the Euro Truck expansion, which to be fair is a lot older, so there's that kind of hobbling it a bit, but an old mining town up on the hill there. Red Hill Town. See the lights go down now. Runaway truck ramp. Runaway truck, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track. 69 miles an hour. Nice. There's the exit for Denver.
Keep left.
Seems like when you sing the guy who does the Reigns of Castamere. I don't know what the Reigns of Castamere is. Oh, was that one of the Game of Thrones ones? I don't know. Just very deep, really. I can do a range, but not quietly, and not with the headset microphone, that's for damn sure. I find generally to sing in anything more than your default tone and default range, you really need to push your voice a bit more. And that'll just blow out the microphone. Unless you got a really good filter and stuff for it, and this is just a headset. So. Basically no BG, sorry. Don't know if it's in the show, but based on it, yeah, no idea. Not watched it, maybe it was the end credits music or something on one of the episodes, I don't know. I know that the score for the show is really good. And I can put up with a lot of bad things for a good score, but not quite to that extent. I'm more forgiving when it comes to games and good soundtracks than I am TV shows. Well, we're now through the dramatic scenery and back to the flatlands. Now we get to the point where you need a sign saying nothing interesting for the next several hundred miles. I sometimes wonder whether they'll even bother doing things like Nebraska. On the one hand, I'd like them to, simply because, you know, sense of completeness. But having done a bit of Google Earth kind of searching around, there's really not much to see. No offense to anyone who's from or knows the area well or enjoys it, but not the most scintillating scenery. Realism, yeah. Sometimes realism is a bit of a sleeper. When the realism is, or when the real thing is nice, that's when we want the realism. I mean, I want to be able to drive coast to coast, and I don't want to have to just do that through the southern states. And let's be honest, I mean, they'll do Texas at some point, I'm sure. There's a lot of fuck all in a lot of Texas as well. That is just one of the realities about, one, long-haul driving in general, and two, certain parts of something as large as the United States. That is one of the kind of things Euro Truck Simulator has going for it. I mean, through Poland and stuff, it's a bit like this though. And through a lot of the Eastern Bloc when I was going backwards and forwards doing the to-from deliveries from Kaliningrad. The exclave achievement. Definitely got a bit tired of seeing very flat green scenery. Another inspection. Fine.
Recomputing.
almost to Sterling. Where's my bow? Need a silver longbow, and then I can have a sterling silver and a sterling archer reference in there at the same time. So hopefully this will be the thing I need for the 18 wheels of steel paint job. I have no idea how that gets given to me in the game, whether I need to redeem it somewhere. Might just quickly pop to the World of Trucks website after I make the delivery and take a look. Because if so, we can then find the service stop somewhere and
Keep
swap
right,
over.
and then exit right.
That'll also be one out of the dozen or
Exit
so
right.
cities that I need
Get
for the
ready to
Cruising
turn
Colorado
left.
event. Wouldn't get very far on steel wheels.
Turn left.
I mean, they still have tires on them. The wheels themselves is the inner, and those could be stainless steel. I imagine on a lot of cars they used to be steel. They'll just have a tire fitted for the sake of comfort and reliability.
Go straight.
Doesn't wheel denote the whole thing? Not necessarily. A wheel doesn't have to have a tire on it after all. Wheel's just a circular shape that is fitted to an axle, and technically it's only the rim that's fitted to the axle. The tire is just the shoe. It's in the same way that if you refer to someone using their feet, then you don't consider it being their bare feet all the time. It's contextual. You usually assume they're wearing shoes, even though the shoes are not part of the feet. There we go. Yep. Circular object. I mean, that's optimistic. They don't have to be. You'd want to hope it is, but your shoes aren't part of your feet. No. We're in Middle Earth. We're hobbits. We have resilient feet.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Of course, the streetlights that I actually slow down for then turn green as soon as I get to them. My shoes may not be part of my feet, but I tell you what, I got soul.
Turn left.
I cracked myself up. Someone has to.
Keep right, and then
Hey,
turn
cocktails. Nice.
right. Turn right.
They'll be cheap too, because you have little to no excise tax on alcohol in the States, as I figured out recently.
Keep right, and then turn right.
And here we are at Walbert.
Turn right.
Big mall. Delivery. Theo says after a
Here
joke,
we
only he
are,
laughs at, I
safe
kill
and
me, to which you're
sound.
obligated to respond, and one day. just say, and sometimes I wish you would. That's not enough turning. Let's try this again. Because I figure I'm not going to have much room to turn around once I get past the corner of the building. So let's do my turning around here. And we hit the corner of the building, okay. A little bit more angle. Now we swing it around before we go too far away from the building. There now we can see the white lines. It does amuse me how it comes up with the to skip the parking the trailer and complete the delivery, press Enter or A, as if to just say to you, why are you taking so long? Scrub. There we go. Minor bits of damage, but... Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, deliver them to Sterling. Okay, so that's 1 out of 13 of these. The next thing is I'm going to quickly Alt-Tab. Oh yeah, bingo finished. Choose a new seed. I mean, that's easy enough. And celebration of the latest truck sim DLC. New seed can be Colorado. Give me a new seed, Daddy. I don't imagine Selvna saying it like that, but you never know. He hope he would someday. What to you specifically, Sock? Well. What was I doing? Worldoftrucks.com. Sign in. Delivery events. Cruising Colorado. Now, what about the 18 Wheels of Steel one? Or is that not actually started yet? Maybe it's not actually started yet. Oh, here we go, 18-year celebration reward. Done. Just like that. Sign into Steam. Into the code on my phone. Submit. Item redeemed. Just like that. They make it so easy. They give so much and expect so little. Which means we should now plot a course to the nearest service station. Okay, you're telling me Sterling does not have a service station. Well, that's rude. Burlington then. Let's see if we can get a trip to Burlington. See, now we end up with the annoying thing that we're used to by now of never getting the deliveries that we want. And they do have to be these external contracts. Okay, well if we're not going to Burlington, we're going to have to explore that little squiggly bit another time. I guess we could go to Lamar. Kendrick? Is that you? There was a Lamar back then. Is there any more high-paying ones? No. Okay. Well, they have to be a minimum of 100 miles anyway. Ooh, it's articulated. Well, that'll be fun. Oh, here's one that isn't. Thank God. I can do articulated ones. I'd really rather not. Oh, it's empty pellets though. I hate doing empty pellets. Someone's got to. We beat ADS. Yep, it's done. Pack it up, guys. Articulated so it's a double trailer. So 2 trailers, extra hinge in the middle. Parking is a nightmare.
Let's go.